Welcome to Evo 1. I just bought my dream bike after 18 years of trying to find one, wanting one, trying to buy one. It has eluded me for that long. This story goes all the way back to 2010 to 2011. I'm racing private, so Evolution Racing, which is actually where Evo 1 comes from, and I really didn't have anybody at that time to tell me, don't do stupid stuff. Whenever I took a family vacation up to Beaver Creek, Colorado, I got the wild idea that I ride BMX, mountain bikes don't look so hard. Let's take a mountain bike, well, first off, a rented giant Trance of that era, which we all know weren't fantastic. Let's take that down a black diamond trail as my first run and see what happens. Probably survivable. Nope, not at all. Brakes failed about halfway down because I burned them up. I went off the trail, down a ledge, into some trees, blew my knee out, and ruined my shot at Grand Nationals that I had already trained pretty much, 6-7 months of the year for the following month. So I've always wondered ever since then, what would have happened if I would have been on the correct bike, had known more about bikes, especially mountain bikes at that point in time, and then it's always made me want to purchase a bike like that, take it back up to that trail, and finally conquer the damn thing. So without further ado, let me show you the bike, and then we're going to discuss this plan. It's a Kona Stinky. This is a 2006 Kona Stinky. Now I got this bike off Facebook Marketplace. It was up there for 5 minutes. I saw the post and the next thing I knew I was pulling in the guy's driveway and apparently I offered $250 and he took it. So I'm quite excited about this purchase. I have wanted one of these forever. It is one of those quintessential quirky weird bikes from the mid 2000s that everybody talks about. But every time you try to find one, they're either beat to hell or they're way overpriced. For $250, I've never seen one that's this clean. Now, while this bike may be clean, I know that there are obviously a few things wrong with it. First off, it is really, really rattly. The suspension also feels like it has practically no air in it. And while we're talking about air, this front tire definitely had some in it yesterday. Today, it does not. That's an issue. The other thing I noticed is the shifter. I can't tell if it's frozen, stuck, or even if it's working. That's a problem. And there was one thing the guy told, it has no brake pads. So we have like a 50% chance that those pistons are going to be blown out. And then we'll need rotors. Yeah. Anyways, now that we've gone down this rabbit hole, let's start investing in this bike so that way we can make an educated decision on whether or not we're going to send it down a black diamond trail that I've already crashed on once before. Lift with your back. They don't make them like they used to. Upon further inspection, it seems to me that we have a Presta tube and a Schrader hole with a Presta adapter. So, Schrader to Presta, back to Schrader. I don't really know, but I have a theory. Yep, Presta valve was left loose. Well, that's simple. Woo! That was loose. That would have really sucked going down the mountain. My worst fear is confirmed. We have one piston on this brake completely pushed out, and then we run this big gamble of whether or not, one, the seal is compromised already, which we would know the moment we confirm that there's fluid in the system and pressurize it. Once there's pads in there, if that seal isn't bad now, there's an even greater likelihood that halfway down the mountain, there's a little bit of heat added, things swell, they start to expand, pressure builds up, and then the seal pops, and then we're like midway down a run, and then we're kind of screwed. Or we try to get some Shimano MT200s in time for this bike to be done before the trip. I don't know. Here on this channel, we aren't owned by Discovery or Warner Brothers, unlike another global cycling YouTube channel. So therefore, we can't just magically make parts appear. Actually, they got bought back by the original owners, which, speaking of Kona, that same thing just happened, so controversial. Anyways, I'm not gonna get these parts in time, and also there's no way that I'm going into my local shop who wants like 50 bucks more than what I found them for online. So I'm gonna do the right thing, and I'm going to try to get this piston back in without blowing the seal out. Yeah, this is where we're at. And of course there's gonna be a part 2 or 3 on this bike. So like, it's gonna stick around and be a staple here on the channel for a minute. News. I was able to get the rear piston pushed back in, and it turns out the front did have brake pads. They just weren't grabbing because they are literally just soaked with oil, grease, tire shine. I don't know, but it's not great, so that's why it didn't feel like it had any pads. And that gives me an opportunity, since the pads won't be here till tomorrow morning, to go ahead and move on up here, figure out what's going on with the shifter. It does move the cable. It just seems like going along its detents, maybe it's got some packed in grease, some dried up stuff, that's just preventing it from actually clicking. So I will go ahead and, while this is apart, swap out these bars for some Rentals, because what's the term? Built MTB tough with dirt bike stuff. I like that. And I'll also shorten the stem up and throw on a carbon fiber spacer, because why not? I like to party and weight savings. Day number 2 of the Kona Stinky build. Now, I do apologize, these brake pads came in really late last night, and I just had to get it knocked out because this morning I have about an hour before we've got to be brakes off and heading up the hill. So therefore, time is of the essence. Got to get this bike done. Now, speaking of that, I want to go ahead and address, we have no brake levers, so we're going to have to bleed those really quick. And then also that shifter that I was discussing earlier, it does not click into its detents, it just kind of goes into them and you feel nothing. It's pretty bad and it's really slow. So mass airflow sensor cleaner is what I like to use in situations like this. It's kind of quick, dirty, it gets the job done, but it's safe on plastic and rubber. It's actually meant to go across a hot wire inside of a throttle body or a mass airflow sensor. So it doesn't really screw anything up and it dries really, really fast. Safety squints. Okay. Ooh. Oh, that feels great now. And it's quick. Good as new. So now we don't have to worry about that. That's fixed. And I could have honestly spent an hour trying to tear that apart and pick it out with a little, tool, and nah. Spray and pray. It works. All right, bleeding the brakes. What is all this junk? Look. That's not good. It doesn't smell right. It smells like it's been watered down. I just got a massive air pocket out of that rear caliper, so getting hopeful actually. Maybe we'll start getting some brakes. I am happy to report we are starting to get a little bit of lever feel back. I can start to feel the brakes biting. I can feel it back here, and we're also getting far less bubbles coming out, so we're heading in the right direction. I have just got to say, there is definitely something about bringing back an old system that most people would just rip off, throw away, replace with something more modern. But getting it to come back to life after you know it hasn't worked for a long time, that is just the most rewarding feeling. And also, I get to test this bike as it would have been. So, pretty excited about that. We have brakes. We made it to Beaver Creek, and we've got the Kona Stinky that we threw together in less than 24 hours. I'm gonna go hit a green trail real quick to get to the top of Corkscrew, which is where I'll see you next, and we're gonna send this thing down the mountain and hopefully not die. I don't know, I'll let you know how it goes. We made it to the top of Corkscrew. The bike is a little rattly, but I think we're gonna be fine. Unfortunately, when I pulled over to take some beauty shots for the thumbnail of this video, trying to be creative, the whole influencer thing, I heard a loud noise. At first I thought it was a bear, maybe a moose. Unfortunately, something far worse, a flat tire. I'm gonna go hike back up, try to find a tube to slap in this thing, and then we're gonna give it another shot. The further that I hike this bike back to civilization so we can find a way to repair this tire, the more I almost feel like this is almost a foreshadowing or kind of warning me not to do this.
I'm not really sure. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments section, and don't forget to like and subscribe. I need more cardio.
You may remember from a prior conversation in the shop when we were rebuilding this Kona that the rear brake pistons would likely fail. And of course, upon the hike back up to get this bike back down to replace the front tire, yeah, that happened. So right now I'm currently contemplating whether we try to do a black diamond run on an untested bike that we built in less than 24 hours on front brakes alone that are sketchy at best. I think we're gonna do it.
We've made it back up to the top of Corkscrew and we're about to drop in. Now, quick little update. We do have a front tire now, so that's fantastic, but again, we have absolutely no back brake. And we have a front brake that is sketchy at best. However, that might be to our advantage because whenever we go to pin this front brake, it won't necessarily throw us over the bars, and it kind of stops, but kind of doesn't. I don't know. But on this channel, we're known to ride fast and take chances. T-shirt available at evo1industries.com. Anyways, enough of a shameless influencer plug. I'm gonna go ahead, suit up, get dropped in, and wish me luck.
Oh, not having a back brake's not fun.
After all these years, I finally got redemption on Corkscrew, and all on a $250 Facebook Marketplace bike that we thrashed together in less than 24 hours with no back brake and plenty of mechanical complications along the way. Let me know down below in the comment section what we should do with this bike next to make it even better. I've already got a few ideas of my own, so I'll start planning. As always, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you on the next video.